What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share the video. Hit the join button and become a member. Why? Well, members get exclusive content. Hit the bell icon on my channel so that you'll receive a notification every time that I drop a video, and you can go and check the video out and show some support. Let's get into it. I decided to bring you guys the story of the night that I was brutally attacked with a shot. You know what? A shot. A 12 gauge. And I told the story, I believe, to my members. I believe I may have brought them the story. And I remember speaking somewhat about it on my interview with Cam Capone News back in February or March or so. But let me break it down again somewhat in my own words and in detail about what happened on that fateful day. I'm not just always going to bring prison stories. I'm going to start getting a little bit more personal with the viewers, with my audience, and on my channel. So you guys, some people have asked me to do an interview so that people can question me and people can find out more about me, the person. I'm going to do that soon. In the meantime, people have also asked me to shed light on some of my past experiences on the street, some of my past life on the street before I went to prison. I will oblige. This is one such incident. And this transpired when I was 12 years old. I was 9 days away, so it was February. Had to have been February 12th, 1987. And I was in Watts, California. And I was hanging out with my childhood friends from Watts. Now, we had a little crew that hung out. We were all young. Again, I was 12, but I was the youngest one in the crew. Most of the crew was 14 years old, and there was a couple that was 15, one or two that was 16. None older than 16, but I was the youngest at 12. Even though I was the youngest, I was perhaps the most mischievous, the most mischievous. I used to commit robberies even at a young age. And I was running the street without guidance and without direction, without a father or a father figure in the household. My mother can only do so much to control me. I was already a member at the age of 12, a gang member. I was involved in the gang culture and in the culture itself of Los Angeles, California. And there was not much that you can tell me. And sometimes I found myself in unsavory situations based on my ill decisions. And without the proper guidance or direction, this trend continued in my adolescence. And on this one particular night, we were hanging out in the park that on 103rd and Central in Watts. They used to call the park Will Rogers Park. It's now been renamed to Ted Watkins Park. And we used to hang out there often, essentially every day. And sometimes we would rob people in the park. The park sometimes had homosexuals in the park. And we were young and didn't know any better. And sometimes we would pick on them. And on this night, we were not looking for any trouble. One of the rare nights that we was just out. A few of the comrades had drinks. Certainly there was smoke there. And we was just hanging out on a park bench. It was perhaps, I don't know, I don't recall the time. It was dark though, so maybe 9:30 at night. Yes, I was 12 years old, hanging out in the park at 9:30 at night, smoking. Wasn't drinking, they was drinking, I was smoking. And someone happened to pass by in the park. A dark-skinned dude that had on a fisherman's hat with regular clothing, nothing distinct. Perhaps, I believe, a dark-colored sweater, some regular blue jeans or so. But this fisherman hat had threw me off some. He passed by, and again, since we were not out looking for any trouble, even though we thought that we owned this park at the tender ages of 12 and 13 and 14 years old, on this particular night, we didn't want any fun. So when the dude passed by, we wasn't looking for any trouble. However, a couple of comrades, and I don't recall, it may have been me as well, said something to him to the effect of, "Man, what you doing up in here? Get up out of our park." Something like that. Something like telling him to get up out of the park or something. Of course, if we don't own this park, we can't tell this man to get up out the park in hindsight. But it was something to that effect. Or we was making fun of him or something like that. But no one had touched him. No one had approached him. There was no threat upon his life or upon his person whatsoever. However, he apparently took slight to the interaction. And looking back on it, I know the person that I am at the age that I am now. Should I go into a park or a similar situation, and there are children there, clearly the ages of 12, 13, and 14 years old, and they're being mischievous, telling me to get up out of this park or get up out of their neighborhood or whatever, I might look back like, yeah, whatever, but I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to come back and try to unalive one of the 12-year-old children. That's just me, though. Everyone is not the same. So he kept walking, and I don't recall him saying anything, just sort of looked back. He may have mumbled something under his breath, but he just kept walking. And we continued on with frolicking around. It was about 5 of us there in the park. 4, no more than 5. And we continued to just chill and interact with one another. We began to exit the park and head back to our houses. And again, this was about 5 minutes after the exchange with this dude. As we're leaving the park, I happened to be the one dragging in the back. I was behind the rest of the group. I was up with them, but I was last. And we used to have to hop a little brick wall to get over to where we were going. And so as we're walking, the comrades begin to hop this brick wall. And I look to my right and I see the same dude that we had somewhat harassed there in the park. But now he's looking different. He still has on this weird fisherman hat, but he now has on a trench coat. I noticed that, and I noticed the difference between his attire from before and now. He has on his trench coat, and I'm wondering, okay, this ain't right. And he's walking briskly towards us. And I can see that the other homies, they pretty much recognize him as well. Someone I think that's that same dude. But again, they pretty much have cover now because they've already hit the wall. And I haven't got over the wall yet. And he's approaching rapidly. And when he comes upon us, he immediately draws down. Boom. And he had a sawed off. A 12, you know what? A big mamma jamma. And he points it. And he points it at me. He wasn't after me in particular. It's not like he thought that I was the one that had said something or he said, let me get the big guy. I happened to be the one that was lagging behind. I was the one that was caught slipping. I was the one that was easy prey. I was ready to be a victim because I was behind and I hadn't caught up with the rest of the group. And so when he pulled out the weapon, the young homie or the older homie, he said, oh man, oh damn, cuz. Like he saw the weapon, he said, oh damn, cuz. And he turned around and broke, right? He broke wide, he ran, he got up out of there. He's already over the brick wall though. So he got up out of there, he running, he hauling ass. And it's just me And this dude now, everybody else is gone. Everyone is scattered. I'm looking around. I remember looking around and everybody's gone. So he threw the shot, you know what, right to my head. Boom, and I threw up my hands like this. I said, no. I said, no, please, sir. I threw up my hands. I said, oh, please, sir. Right? I'm 12 years old. Now he can see I'm a big dude, even at 12 years old, but I still had somewhat of a baby face back then. I certainly didn't look older than 12 in the face with my features, but because of my girth, many people overlooked my baby face features and just assumed that I was a certain age because of my size, even at the tender age of 12 and 13 and 14 and so forth. But certainly I get the feeling, because the dude looked me right in the eye, that he knew, he could tell at some point that I was very young, because he's right in my face. When I say he's right up on me, it's almost like he has the weapon to the top of my forehead. It's like I can feel it. He's right there on me. That's how close we are. He's right there on me, and he has it trained at me. Okay, boom. So I got my hands up. I said, please, sir, please, sir. And I threw my hands up like this. Please, sir, please, sir. I remember saying, please, sir, please, sir. I called him sir. He's about in his mid to late 30s, 36, 37, 38, perhaps 39. Could even have been 40 years old. But he's unmoved and unbothered by my pleas and by my age. And he then brings the weapon. When I said, please, sir, he did take it from my head, where he was aiming it at first, and brought it down to my chest area. But he's still aiming it, and now he has it aimed and cocked right at my chest. And so my heart is beating fast, and I still got my hands up. I'm like, man, God, now I ain't saying please, now I'm just basically I'm froze. I just got my hands up and I'm froze. So as he got it at my chest, for whatever reason, he brings the weapon down. So first from my head to my chest, and now he brings it down to Larry. He's aiming it at old Larry, the baby maker. I said, oh man, he finna try to take me out, take my jewels out. What the hell? And this is why some of my comrades said that he later on that he was a homosexual or something, because they were used to be in that park deep, and now he's aiming it at Larry. He wants to take out my genitals. And when he aims it down there, hell, that had me even more nervous than when he had it at my head. Just go ahead and take me out. But don't take out Larry and leave me on earth. What the hell? Just take me, put it back to my head. Get it away from Larry. But no, he had it trained right on Larry. And all I heard was a big blast. He had never said a word. Boom! I was like, oh man. And I can feel it. I can feel the blood gushing out. Now, I wasn't sure where I was hit. I knew where he was aiming it. And I knew that it was in that general area that I had just been hit. But I didn't know if he had got to Larry or not. I'm figuring, of course, now looking back on it, I would have known if he had hit Larry. But he didn't. He hit my left upper thigh. And I felt the blood running down, gushing out profusely, gushing out by the buckets of my pants. And I began to run. You can't even call it a run. It was really a slow walk, because I would move my right leg and I would have to drag my left leg where I was hit. And I can hear, as I'm trying to run, I'm walking, I can hear the blood squeaking inside of my shoe. I feel it like it's all wet in there. All of my sockets filled with blood. And I'm walking fast, and I'm limping, and it's just hot. It's burning up here in my upper thigh area. And I get about a half a block, and I go inside of this alley, and I lay down. I couldn't run any further. My leg had given out. My fight to live was still intact, because I'm looking around and I'm looking for this dude. And I'm saying to myself, won't the homies hurry up and come back and put some cover on me? Because we ain't far from where we used to hang out at. There are weapons over here. And I know that they're running to go get these weapons and come back. This I know. What's taking so long? It seemed like it's a lifetime. But really, it had only been seconds. Everything had happened so fast. And right by the time I hit the alley and essentially had passed out, when I began to come to, I believe it was just seconds later, I do hear voices, and I'm hearing the homies, and I'm hearing them say, "Where you at? Where you at?" And I'm seeing them running by, driving by, passing by, and their mothers, families, they're all coming over there to the alley where I'm at, holding me, touching me, telling me you're gonna be all right. And the ambulance did not take too long to show up. Thankfully, they came, and they put me in an ambulance, and they rushed me to Martin Luther King Hospital. We used to call Martin Luther King Hospital Killer King, because a lot of people who went inside of Martin Luther King Hospital looking for some sort of remedy came out worse than when they went in, and or didn't come out at all. Many people were dying there in Killer King. So I wasn't all too happy about going to Martin Luther King, but at this time, I just clearly need life-saving measures and fast. I remember the ambulance taking off my shoe there in the alley and pouring out the blood in my shoe, and it just came running out. It was just filled with blood. They had cut off my pants. They had ripped them off, cut them off. So I'm in the ambulance and I get to Martin Luther King, and when I get inside of the light, inside of the building, I look down at my leg, and it's a hole this big, just a big hole in there. And I see white and red meat just sticking out, protruding out of my leg. I said, "Ugh, what the hell? Damn, this dude got me." And they rushed me to the operating room. Now, they thought that I wasn't going to survive. They later said, because I lost so much blood, and he hit me in my artery. He blew my femur out to the point that they had to take an artery during the operation out of my right leg. I have a long scar in my right leg where they removed an artery and put it in my left leg so that my left leg could continue to function at some capacity. And they said that if he did make it, he would not be able to walk again because of the size of the wound, and he still has all of these pellets inside of his leg. And if that didn't happen, then he would be traumatized from the experience of being brutally attacked at the age of 12, close range, with such a massive destructive weapon. And I came out of the operation, and it took me some time to heal as far as recovering from the wound. My mother used to have to clean the wound so that I wouldn't get gangrene from the wound. The doctors were keen on that and used to instruct her on how to clean it. And I remember my mother we used to go in the bathroom and she would wipe it down and clean it, patch it up, and all of that for a few weeks after I left the hospital. I was on crutches for a few weeks. But I did, in fact, survive. And even though the doctors was not sure if I was going to make it at first. In fact, as I said, they didn't think so because of the amount of blood. And when people normally get hit in their arteries or their femurs, they bleed out. I remember a dude from Peru that got hit in his leg with a 12-gauge shotgun and bled, and he died. He didn't make it. I know a few people like that. So it's really a blessing that I'm here on earth, on any part of this earth, because I really could have lost my life on that day. I could have bled out easily, or at least not be able to walk at this juncture. But none of that is the case. There has to be a bigger purpose for me That's why I believe I'm still here. And coming up, again, I'm going to bring you more personal stories. I'm going to tell you about the robbery that I caught that led me, at 14 years old, that led me to my first incarceration. What the hell was I thinking? But they never caught the dude that had shot me. I guess the police did come and make a report, if I recall, but nothing ever happened to the dude. The comrades had drove around looking for the dude all night, all day. But of course, he was somewhere. He was gone. He did his work, and he was in the cut somewhere. He wasn't out hanging out in the same area, chilling with the same stuff on. Couldn't find him. He was gone. He did what he had to do, and he was gone. I know that he knew that I was underage, perhaps not 12, but he knew that I was underage. Some people may still say, so what? Y'all was messing with this dude. He came back and did what he had to do. You fucked around and found out. Somebody said that in the comments before when I did the interview on Cam Capone. But I think that's sick, to approach someone with diabolical intentions. Someone, a 12-year-old child. I was still someone's child. I wasn't perfect. I was in the streets. And I was misbehaving. But I was still a child. And I had not put my hands on him. He wasn't defending himself at all. It was just words. And the words were not even necessarily derogatory. It was just, man, get up out of here or whatever. Nobody called him the B word or, whatever. So anyway, that's what happened. And I eventually healed up. I had somewhat of a limp for a little while, I guess. You may even still think I have one. I don't know. I don't think so. And the doctor testified in my trial, because this came up in my trial because it was important. My last trial, for the case that I just got out on, the doctor testified that I had an estimated 400 pellets in my leg right now, essentially from my left knee up to my thigh. I thought that I've seen them in there on x-rays over the years. In prison, you have medical checkups, whether they do these x-rays, and they show me the x-rays, and I've seen the pellets in there. But I had no idea that it was 400 of them. I'd have thought 40 or 50 of them. Doctor said I have 400 pellets. In fact, 2 of the pellets have traveled to my heart over the years. I now have two of the pellets from the shotgun inside of my heart. They travel from my leg, I guess, through my bloodstream. I've seen them on the x-rays. They're right here in my heart, bro. 2 of them. Two pellets from that weapon reside in my heart as I speak. They travel to my heart over the years through my bloodstream. They said that it would be too dangerous to try to open up my leg and remove all of the pellets. And so they're just in there. And I think I may have even said on Cam Capone, I remember seeing a story with a white woman, a similar situation. Right before I got out of prison, I seen a story somewhere, it may have been Dateline. I'm always watching Dateline and First 48 and this sort of stuff. I don't know why. But she had got shot. I forgot how or for what reason. Maybe a home invasion or something. I don't know. Her husband, I don't recall the circumstances. But she got shot with a 12-gauge shotgun as well in her leg. And I believe it was her left leg. And she was saying that the doctors, and I don't remember how long it had been since she had been shot, but the doctors were telling her that she now has poison or lead poisoning from the pellets. The poisoning from the pellets has entered her bloodstream. I think they giving her a certain amount of time to live, sort of thing, because of the poison from the pellets. And it was with the same gun that I got hit with in the same area, same situation. I don't know how many pellets she had in her leg. Couldn't have been no more than mine, 400 and something. But her pellets have now turned to poisoning, lead poisoning or something, and got inside of her bloodstream. And she had a certain amount of time to live or something. Or they were saying that, I recall them asking her, well, can they just go in there and take the pellets out? And she was saying, no, they said that it's too dangerous. So I have that on my mind, that this stuff can eventually turn to poison into something that's inside of my body. These 2 pellets that's inside of my chest right now. But this happened in 1987. As I said, my birthday is February 21st. I would have been 13. So this happened February 12th. So I was 12 years old. I was 9 days away from being 13 years old. But I was 12. I wasn't even yet a teenager. But it's been that long. So we're talking, I'm 50 years old now. You know, we're talking 38 years. And to this point, as far as I know, I don't know anything about any poisoning or that the bullets in my chest or the pellets in my chest have really affected me in any way that I know of, that I can see, any way that's palpable, you know, any way that's tangible. I can't put my hands on it. But I'm sure there are some intangibles that I don't know about. So that's my situation. And that's how I got shot on that night. And coming up, I'm going to get into the robbery that I caught with the, I told a little bit about that on Cam Capone News as well, that I caught with the homie Big Murph Dog from 9-4 back in 1988. Crazy. Stay free, people!